I hope I'm going to make the last 15 minutes entertaining. And as stated before, it's about how can we use digitalization to enable small companies, but not only small companies. And in order to talk about why is this so important, I want to address a little bit of how big companies, for example, like Amazon and others, have utilized digitalization to create an enormous market dominance. So this, when you believe some pundits in the industry, this is how the shopping centers of the future could look like. Empty, cracking down because everything is going online. I don't believe that the future will look like this, but it's clearly, especially in Europe, time to act. And in order to kind of like give that some context, I've put together kind of a little slide animation where we just go back about 13 years and look how was the market capitalization of the top 20 DAX companies in Germany. So what you see here is the white is basically the top 20 companies in Germany on the DAX at that time. And the green ones were the big platform players compared to market valuation in 2006. So there were only Microsoft, Google, and Apple at that time. So if we now fast forward and see what happened in the last 13 years, we see quite a movement, and especially a movement that is accelerating over the last 5 years. So this ends at 2018, and this is not something that is out of a futuristic movie. This has actually happened already. And if you now take this forward another 2 or 3 years, what you see here is, even though in Germany and in Europe, our industries have been booming. Germany has having one success after another compared to our performance in previous years. But what these numbers show, without any doubt, that our relevance of existence, our relevance compared to what's going on with the market leaders in the global economy has shrunken tremendously, up to a point where the top 5 companies make up the value of the number 5 in the US called Facebook. This has happened, and this slide doesn't even include China. So you can add on this slide now Alibaba, Tencent, Baidu, and so the story will not get much, much better. So how did these companies do this? How did Amazon, how did Facebook, how did Google do this? They are extensively using technology to enhance their business model and to enhance efficiency. And as I stated for multiple years now, everything is going to become software. There's not going to be one industry that's going to be untouched in this game. We are just seeing the first time in the retail, and we've seen it, of course, in the media world, how technology is changing fundamentally the power. So Amazon and Co. are dominating e-commerce. And they do this by really squeezing out all market partners. They are utilizing a lot of small companies that sell on their platforms, and Booking.com does the same thing, doing all the work for Amazon, and Amazon collecting a toll on every single transaction and using technology to scale infinitely. And it's getting to a point where also the EU is basically looking into that, is how does Amazon treat small and large companies? Because it's not uncommon that these platform players basically rule their platforms like an autocrat. Amazon looks at every sale happening on your account when you're a merchant, and the stuff that basically is selling really well, that they buy themselves and undercut you with pricing, and if selling really, really well, they just build it themselves. Amazon has over 700 own brand products, and that's why, for example, in India, the government is now prohibiting Amazon and JD.com to sell their own brands into India because they want to keep an equal playing field for the Indian brands. So what these companies are really doing is they're utilizing technology to gain efficiencies that we have never seen before. So the question one could answer is, does the winner take it all? Do we going to see something like we've seen in search, where we basically have one player, or in social networks where we have about 3 players all owned by one company, at least in the Western world? Does the winner take it all? I don't think so, because today only 20% of commerce is online now. Even though these markets are really huge, only 20% are conducted online, and that's the big opportunity. 80% is still up for grabs. 80% of the commerce market will get connected in the next 5 to 10 years. So we're going to see a grab that's going to be pretty interesting, and what we all, I think, can hope for is that the 80% don't go the way that the 20% went. These are numbers from the US of last year. Last year, basically every second dollar spent online was spent at Amazon. And you can see at the slide there, that's Amazon compared to all of eBay, all of Apple online, all of Walmart online, Home Depot. So not really small companies. Every second dollar went to Amazon. We have not seen that before. It's like if we go to any shopping street in Europe, every second store would be Amazon. So how can they do this? It's very simple. They use technology. When we log into Amazon or any other service, booking, etc., but at Amazon, it's like we log in and Jeff Bezos is behind us and is seeing everything we look at, everything we put in the basket, everything we put out of the basket, except that it's not one Jeff Bezos, it's 500 million Jeff Bezoses, because it's technology doing the looking. And that is the difference, that basically they utilize technology to basically automate something at no cost that couldn't be done before. And this is, for example, why all of the main worldwide offline retail players are now completely reinvesting in their backend platforms. That's why SAP is rising and rising and rising, because they power most of them with their backend technology, because they now need to understand their customers. If you walk into a store, they don't understand the customers, but I come to that in a second. So my belief is the future is not set in stone, because I do believe that you can change a little bit of that, and I'm trying to do that with my company and the partners that we're working with, whether it's Deutsche Telekom, a major banking organization in Germany that we haven't announced yet, or other large companies, to basically connect small businesses around the world with technology that allow them to stay in place and to enable them digitally, so we consumers can get the same service at these small companies or large companies that I get today on Amazon. And that's really, really critical. And it starts with one thing. It starts with understanding your customer again for these merchants. But this time, they have to understand them digitally. Because, 100 years ago, when we went to do a small store, the owner was there, and the owner didn't know all of his or her customers. Face recognition, analog, I know the customer, I can recommend the thing. Today, that's not happening anymore. Amazon and the large companies using technology to understand us as customers digitally. And so this is exactly what we're trying to help small companies and medium companies with. How can they understand their customers digitally to utilize that, to get them the offers they want, to get them the promotions they want, and to do this in a way that's easy to use and it's affordable. One problem you have to solve there is, when we go ordering at Amazon, we always sign in. But the point is, the point is that when we go into a store, we do not log in. We just walk in. So how, when we go to a store, the merchant is able to start building up our profile? So the checkout has the equivalent value like the login in the online store. So we focused a lot for the offline world. How can we use loyalty, coupons, promotions? So technology that normally only large companies have accessible to them in a very easy way to gain access for the merchant to the consumers shopping at them, so they can start building the profile. And another thing that's really, really important is electronic payments. As part of our effort, we also designed our own payment devices to basically unlock not only the monopoly of the payment processors that charge ridiculously high rates for small companies, but also to optimize the checkout process, because the checkout process is so critically important to understand the customers digitally. And most of you have probably seen the latest figures that the EHI announced last week, where last year, for the first time, we had almost half of all payments done electronically. I remember when I started out talking about electronic payments, and a bunch of my friends as well, most people said, no, Germany, we're a cash country. I'm pretty sure that within the next 3 to 5 years in Germany, we have the equivalent levels of electronic payments like we have in Denmark or Netherlands. We're just coming to a tipping point now that has to do with contactless, with NFC. It has to do with Apple Pay, with other mobile payment forms, and also the convenience that merchants can now have access to, because electronic payments are so much quicker to handle than cash, and starting to be so much cheaper to handle than cash. Because cash, you need to count at least 3 times before you deposit it. And now, even if you try to deposit cash at a bank, you actually have to pay money for depositing cash. And in generally, that's between 10 to 15 euros per deposit. So I do believe that, we're going to see electronic payments incredibly rising the next 3 to 5 years. And that's also a really important way to understand the customers digitally, because you can identify the customer and connect them with a purchase. Because that's the big problem of all of the offline retailers, that they cannot connect the purchase with the customer. And that's then how companies like Payback, etc., try to build side businesses to help these big companies re-identify the customer and build the connection. So that's really critical. In order to understand the customer digitally, you have to make him sign in, but he doesn't do that on walking in, so he has to do it on checkout. The next thing that we're doing, and this is also a little different than what most companies did, is I don't believe, and most of our partners agree, that for all of these local merchants, they don't need a classical e-commerce store. So the point is that even though we want to have interaction online, like for example, we have 20,000 wine shops in Germany. If all of these 20,000 wine shops would have classical e-commerce sites, they wouldn't be successful, because we just need 2 or 3. But still, these 20,000 wine shops want to be able to offer me as a consumer, instead of when I'm going home after this event and I want to have a grill party, that I maybe have it already delivered. I'm ordering it on the train, they deliver it to me home. Or I pick it up on the way home if they should be still open. So how can you create a connected commerce experience? So for us, it's not about e-commerce or offline. For me, it's about creating a connected experience, whether that is for these small merchants ordering online for pickup or delivery, or for the people who provide the service, like hairdressers, that they can do these things online, can do online reservation, table reservation, with one very important thing. We do not enter the revenue stream of our customers. Normally, when you use sales channels like Amazon, they take 20+% of your revenue. We see this as enablement. This is not in competition to Amazon. It's basically a tool, so these merchants can continue to serve their customers, their existing customers, without having to pay at all, and continue to use sales channels like Amazon, like other sales channels, to win customers. Once you have paid a high price of winning them, how can you keep them without having to pay at all every single time? And last but not least, we are connecting also the supply chain. So you not only have efficiencies in dealing with the customer digitally, but also purchasing and managing your inventory. So overall, it's all about, in our opinion, enabling the local commerce to thrive. And it's not only our opinion. Actually, Amazon has the same opinion. That's why they've bought Whole Foods. That's why they're opening about 5,000 Amazon Go stores, because they also realize that not everything will go online. Their view is just they want to, utilize all local commerce as kind of a way to reach to their customers and as fulfillment channel, and everybody has to pay a tax. For us, we want to enable these small businesses to thrive, and actually not just small, but also the large ones, because they are also realizing that they need help, especially in the front end. So digitalization technology is critically important, especially in the point of sale, point of service, but actually in any aspect, because it allows companies to efficiently change the way you do business and do a service that normally in the analog world wouldn't be possible. So I hope that was a little bit of valuable information. I thank you for your time, and yeah, enjoy the evening. Thank you.